We promised Marco Rubio was going to join us about 5 minutes ago. There was a delay. He's joining us right now from Newcastle, New Hampshire. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
So what did you
Sorry
make?
about that. Good morning.
That's fine. It happens. You're on the campaign trail. For us, the soundbite of the night last night was where Hillary Clinton, who was the most vulnerable regarding her record, was on that email server. She got bailed out by Bernie Sanders, who said, enough of that, got a big laugh, and then they moved on. What'd you make of that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they may not care about it, but the people in this country do, because it goes right to the issue of credibility. First of all, it's pretty clear that what she told us and what happened are two very different things. Second, it goes to the issue of competency. These emails by the Secretary of State were the prime targets for foreign intelligence agencies. As soon as the came out that she was using a private server, one of the first things I said was, those emails were vulnerable to the Chinese, the North Koreans, Iran, you name it. I mean, the Russians. And of course, that's now we're seeing reports that that was the case. So it shows that she was both incompetent, but quite frankly, was not being for the American people and playing games with words.
Sure.
And it goes to the issue of whether you can trust someone or not as well, the credibility issue.
Would you have challenged her further also on her response to Benghazi and Libya? Because she ended up having this justification for it and then saying about those that were killed, including her own ambassador, that she'd get to that later.
Yeah. Look, here, it's quite insensitive, of course, but here's the bigger issue with Benghazi. We either should not have been there or we should have had a plan to rescue them if, in fact, they got in trouble. It was no mystery that Benghazi was a dangerous place. The Red Cross had left the area. The British had left the area. We probably shouldn't have had a facility there, but if we did have a facility, it should have been much more secure than it was, and there should have been an extraction plan. These are all the things that a competent Secretary of State ensures is in place to safeguard the lives of the people under their command. She didn't do that. Again, an issue of competency.
So unbelievable, Senator Rubio. You must be sitting there saying, I can't believe I have to debate 10 people who actually want to be president, as opposed to one person who wants to be president and 4 people who want to be in her cabinet. They let her go on all the hot issues. Here's an example of how she described the Ambassador Stevens' death and her role in it.
Should Secretary Clinton have seen that attack coming?
Well, let's remember what was going on. We had a murderous dictator, Gaddafi, who had American blood on his hands, and the Libyan people had a free election, the first time since 1951. And you know what? They voted for moderates. They voted with the hope of democracy. Because of the Arab Spring, because of a lot of other things, there was turmoil to be followed. But unless you believe the United States should not send diplomats to any place that is dangerous, which I do not, and when we send them forth, there is always the potential for danger and risk.
A lot to unpack there. Break it down from what she said. You have a problem with anything?
Well, that last point, there's always the false choices. No one's ever said they shouldn't send diplomats or representatives to places that are dangerous. But some places are too dangerous. And if you are going to send them to a place that's dangerous, then make sure that there is sufficient resources in place to protect them. That facility in Benghazi was not sufficiently protected. It was easily and quickly breached by a handful of people, and it led to the tragedy that happened. And then there was no extraction plan. There was no nearby military assets, according to them, that could have come in and rescued those people in time. So again, if you are going to send people to a very dangerous situation, then make sure that they're protected. They probably should not have been there, and if they were there, they should have had plans in place to protect them and to save them, and they did not. And that falls squarely on the shoulders of the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, because it was her job to ensure the security of those people.
Right, and they did appeal many, many times, and no help came. Senator, about
That's correct.
15 minutes ago, we had Ed Klein on. He's written a book about the Clintons. The new one's called Unlikable. He says that Bill Clinton named you as the greatest threat to Hillary's candidacy. Do you take that as a compliment or what?
Well, who knows with these reports. I think the biggest threat to her candidacy is her outdated ideas. If you watched that debate last night, it looked like something from the early 80s. It was basically a liberal versus liberal debate about who was going to give away the most free stuff. Free college education for people illegally in this country, free health care, free everything. Their answer to every problem in America is a government program and a tax increase. That's all they prescribe time and time again. And this is stuff from the 80s, the mid-80s. And we're back there, except that, as I said before the debate, it became exactly what I predicted it would be, a race to the left to see who could be the most radically liberal, the most and that's what this whole primary is going to be for the Democratic side.
I want to jump back for just a moment, because the source that Ed Klein actually quoted said that he heard Bill Clinton say, quote, "We've got to destroy him, you, before he gets off the ground." Are you prepared, in fact, to go up against the machine that is behind the Clintons if you are indeed in the bullseye of their target?
Yeah, sure. And again, look, here's the bottom line. When you run for president, it's a tough endeavor, and people are going to take shots at you. But this is an important job, and it's worth doing. I'm not only prepared for it, I'm motivated by it, because I honestly think this country has only two ways forward. We either are going to have the greatest century in our history, or our children are going to be the first Americans to inherit a diminished country. We're on the road to leaving them a diminished country right now. We need to change direction. That's why this election is a generational choice, and I'm inspired and fired up about being a part of it, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes, including confronting the Clinton forces to win this
Well, we'll be able to see it.
election.
They got to get through Donald Trump because he's already going after you. So let him line up. Senator Rubio, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.